Hey there guys, how's it going? And welcome to my top 5 Black Ops 2 worst gold guns. I know some of you guys have been looking forward to this one. I have to say this is probably the most difficult out of my top 5 guns countdowns for Black Ops 2 because I think every gun in Black Ops 2 in one way or another is pretty useful and is good at something, even though it's going to be poor at other things. So I suppose this countdown is more one, it's just guns that I never really end up using personally out of choice, and I think that's the only way I can really do a top 5 worst countdown. And I know there's going to be some choices here that people are going to say, oh, this is pretty good, it's one of my favourite weapons. That's absolutely true, I'm sure, and any guns that you guys could suggest, I would argue points that make them good. It's very easily done, so it's very easy to say, you know, certain choices are bad, but when you really weigh it up and think about what other choices you would make instead, it's not so easy. So, without any further ado, these are my top 5 worst guns in Black Ops 2. So starting off at number 5, it's the gun that I kind of didn't really want to put in the countdown, but I wanted variety. I wanted to put a submachine gun in here, and I know a lot of you might disagree with this one, but I've put the Scorpion Evo. Now this can be absolutely deadly in the right situations, and I've used it a lot of times and enjoyed it, but for the most part I tend to find myself realising that the things that are bad about this gun tend to rear their head a little bit more than the positive aspects of this gun. This gun has an extremely high fire rate and is good at very close range, but for the most part when I'm using it, all I tend to really notice is how weak it is over anything other than a really short distance, how much recoil there is at anyone further than say 10 feet away, and also how quickly it gets rid of ammunition because of that really high fire rate. The MP7 and the Vector are quite fast firing at 900 RPM, and this one is up at 1200 RPM, and for me it's just that little bit too fast, so I don't really enjoy using this weapon that much, although it can be deadly if used right in the right situations. So a little bit controversial maybe, but that's my number 5 pick, the Scorpion Evo. So on to number 4, and I've decided to choose the MK48, and unfortunately for this weapon it kind of falls into the category of it is very good at certain things, but those things never really happen in the game. So to explain that a little bit further, like the ideal kind of scenario for using this weapon is being kind of shut down in one area and looking at people over a long range, also not really needing to move around because it's very slow to use this weapon. You're slow with it, you're slow to aim down sight, it has the slowest reload in the game, so if you want to kind of lie back at the back of the map and get like 2 kills on an objective and then just sit there until you're killed, the MK48 is pretty good at that. But for the most part you're not going to want these attributes. You're going to want something a little bit faster, something that has a quick reload, and its one real strength is that it has a huge 3-hit kill range. But then in this weapon, the 3-hit kill range of weapons like the Scar is the kind of range where you're not going to need any longer than that. You're not really going to be in too many situations when you're going to need something at a better range than that, and if you are, then most people will probably use a sniper rifle or something if they're going to be going for really long range kind of kills. So the MK48, it's very slow, slowest reloading gun in the game, and out of all the LMGs it was probably my least favourite to use. So number 4, the MK48. Number 3, I've decided to go with the Uas Sniper Rifle. This is one that was probably predictably going to be in the top 5 worst Black Ops 2 gold guns. And some of you might say this gun is very good in hardcore game modes, but then let's be honest, pretty much every gun is really good in hardcore game modes with the health being so low in hardcore. So I don't really understand the thought process behind this weapon. If you want to go for a semi-automatic high damage weapon, I would go with the FAL or maybe the SMR. This thing just kind of has all those attributes with a sniper that the only reason you put up with them is because the snipers are normally one-hit kill. Now this will be a one-hit kill to the headshot, to the head in standard game modes, but you don't really want to be having to take the time to make sure you get a headshot when you've got a sniper rifle, because you know they're slow aiming down sight, they are a little slower firing than the assault rifle. So it's a gun that is it's okay, you can do well with it, but to be honest I don't really see much point in it. I don't see why it's in the game, so definitely worthy of being in the top 5 worst guns of the game. So number 3 is the Uas Sniper Rifle. On to number 2, and we have a gun that I think a lot of you would probably put as your number 1 in the worst guns in Black Ops 2, but for me it's at number 2, and the reason being I actually had a lot of fun using the Executioner, and it does have that one-hit kill capability. Sometimes when you are really close to someone, you will be able to down them in one shot, and that can be really useful in some situations. So although it is bad at a lot of things, it has a really small magazine, obviously it has a very small effective range. There is a certain range where you're just not going to be able to kill anyone at all or do any damage at all to them, and that's not really an attribute we're used to having with a pistol. It's normally a shotgun thing. I do kind of like the Executioner a little bit, but it is very weak. It does have a lot of bad qualities, so it definitely deserves to be in the top 5 worst guns in Black Ops 2. I know that a lot of you are suggesting I use this for a You Pick I Play class with a silencer to make it even worse, and it definitely is not fun to use sometimes, but I kind of liked it. So although it is really bad, I've got a little bit of a soft spot for it, so I stuck in at number 2 instead of number 1. So my number 2 choice for the worst guns in Black Ops 2 is the Executioner. So my number 1 choice for my least favourite gun in Black Ops 2 is the S12. Maybe technically not the worst gun in the game. You could probably argue that the Executioner is the worst gun in the game. But for personal preference, I just don't really enjoy the S12. And it's the gun that I've never gone back to it. I do enjoy the shotguns. I use the M12, KSG and the Remington quite a lot. But I never went on that shotgun creator class screen think, oh, you know what? I feel like using the S12 today. I don't know if it's because the range isn't really particularly impressive. It's the same range as the M12, but not quite as fun to use as the M12. It's less powerful than the Remington, and obviously it doesn't have that cool thing with a KSG where it has that really long one-hit kill range. So the S12 for me is just a kind of a bit of a meh weapon, to be honest. Something I don't get excited about, and that I don't find is very useful either. So for me personally, that's what I've chosen as my number 1 pick. Of course, feel free to leave comments down below. Tell me what your top 5 worst guns are in Black Ops 2, even if they're just guns that you don't particularly like using. Everyone else might do really well with them, but you just have a lot of trouble with them. And for me, that kind of was included in this countdown. How will I play with them? How often I end up going back to them? So I hope you enjoyed this countdown, and maybe next time I'll do the top 5 best and worst looking. I know some of you wanted to see that, so maybe I'll do that one next. Of course, don't forget to smash that like button if you did enjoy the video. All your support is really appreciated, and I'll see you guys next time.